And welcome back, and it is the 5th of March, it's a 5 a day for Higher Plus, and let's just jump straight in with the first question. Right, so we have a circle has an equation. So as ever, when you get an equation, just a quick think, what do you know? So this tells me the radius is 11, and the centre of the circle, which it always will be at GCSE, is 0, 0. And it says find the area of a circle. Well, in order to find the area of a circle, I need pi, I need the r, and I need to square the r. And then it says in terms of pi. So actually, I can just leave my answer with a pi there. So I remember, because I've just worked out the radius is 11. 11 squared is 121. So therefore, it's just going to be 121 pi. Now, temptation is just to go, you just put a pi on this. But of course, understanding why is crucial as well, not just remembering how to do something. Next question. Excellent. We have a proportion question. Notably, we have an inverse proportion question. So let's write down the relationship. So C is inversely proportional, 1 over, to the square of A. So going to be A squared. And then I also know that that means that C, that this is my relationship, but this is my equation, C equals K over A squared. And then it tells me that A is 3, C is 10. So in other words, 10 is equal to K over A squared, which is 9, which means that K is equal to 90, which means I now have an equation linking C and A, that C is equal to 90 over A squared. And then it wants me to find the value of A when C is 5. So now I know that 5 is equal to 90 over A squared, which means that A squared is equal to 90 over 5, which is equal to 18. And then that's A squared, so therefore A equals the square root of 18. Now it doesn't say how it wants the answer, but we do know the square of 18 is the square of 9 times the square of 2, and the square of 9 is 3, so I can say this is the same as 3 root 2. Now, we must remember, when we do the square root to find solutions, it's plus minus, so it could be minus 3 root 2, except for the fact I didn't say this bit out loud. It tells me that A and C are positive, so therefore it's the case that A equals 3 root 2. Question done. Good question, that one. Next one. Okay, we've seen a few of these recently, haven't we? So write 0.253 with the recurring as a fraction. So the way that I'm going to do it, so 0.253, so there's my recurring. Now I know, and again, if you've never seen this before, obviously sort of go back and check through a couple of videos to how to do this. If I multiply this by 100, that's going to be 100x is equal to, well, it's going to be 25.3, and then the 5, 3 are going to recur and keep recurring. And you'll notice I haven't put the dot on the first 3, but only the 5, 3 that's recurring. And that is because the whole point of this now is that these things cancel when I take them away. So now if I do that, so let's take these two away from each other. So 100 minus x is going to give me 99x is equal to 25.3 minus 0.2, which is 25.1. And so therefore that means that x is equal to 25.1 over 99. But of course that's unacceptable because I can't have decimals in my fraction. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 100, which is going to give me 251 over 990. Now, if it's a calculator exam, or actually even if not, either way, but definitely in a calculator, just put that in your calculator just to double check it doesn't simplify. It doesn't, so therefore that's my final answer. Next question. Right, final question, vectors, excellent. What do we have? So BCEF is a parallelogram. So because it's a parallelogram, I'm going to do this in red. That means that that's B, this is parallel as well. So that whole line, C to E, is B, and this is also A, and I've got A down the bottom. And then it tells me that B to C, C to D, so D's over here, is equal to 4 to 7. So in other words, C to D is 7/4 of B to C, so that means that this length here is going to be 7/4 of A. Right, okay, and this isn't going where I thought it was going to go. And then it wants me to work out G to D, as he pauses to have a think about it. Okay, right, actually, I've just realised this. Now, there's two ways of doing this question. So way one is I set up a lambda. Some of you have seen the lambda questions. It's become a bit more popular. Solve for the lambda, find out what it is. I'm going to do it slightly differently, only because, and again, you don't need to hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I happen to be doing similar triangles in class at the moment. And I think it's a really good example of where a similar triangle can help you do this slightly quicker. So there's my triangle F to D to B. And here's my similar triangle here, which is forming the parallelogram, which gives me C to G. Now, because they're similar, and again, they must be similar because this side's parallel to this side and the angles are the same, and definition of a similar, it has the same three angles. I can work out the scale factor between the big triangle, which is this whole triangle here, and the small triangle, which is this triangle here. And if I can work that out, it then means I can work out G to C, and if I can work out G to C, I can then add on C to D. That's going to be my theory. So I am, by the way, let's not call this the hard method, because actually I think this is a sensible scaling method, but I'm definitely doing this sort of a slightly cleverer way, which is worth having a think about or watching again. Okay, so what do we have? I need to think about the scale factors B to D and C to D. So I know that B to D is 1A plus 7/4 A, so that's going to be 11/4 A. C to D, well, that's the thing it tells me in the question already, is going to be 7/4 A. That should be 7/4 A, not 7AA. So 7/4 A. So therefore it means the scale factor to get from the big triangle to the small triangle is to multiply by 7/11. And I'm doing it that way around because I know what B to F is. I'm trying to find C to G. It must therefore mean that C to G is equal to 7/11 of B to F. And I know B to F is B, so therefore it's going to be 7/11 of B. Now bearing in mind that's going upwards. I actually want to get from G to D. So G to D is going to be G to C plus C to D. And G to C is the negative of what we just worked out, so minus 7/11 of B, plus C to D that I know from the question already, which is 7/4 of A. And that's my answer. I could rearrange it if you want, just to make sure it's in the, not the right order, but let's say alphabetical order. So 7/4 of A minus 7/11 of B. And that's it. I'm happy with that. And again, the method I used there, it's a bit of a fluke. I happen to be doing it at the moment in class, but it's a really quick method because I'm using the idea I understand about similar triangles and how things work. Either way, a really difficult end to an okay set of questions actually, wasn't it? But let me know how you did. Do as ever, do like and subscribe. It really helps me, helps the channel grow, and I'll see you for the next one. Thanks all.